So you want to learn the ZZ method for speed solving a Rubik's Cube. Good, you've come to the right place.
This is Problem Solved.
Before we begin, please note that this video assumes that you are comfortable using a Rubik's Cube. That means you can solve one in about a minute or faster. If you are not yet to this level, I recommend learning the techniques in this playlist before continuing with this video. Let's get started. This video will teach you the ZZ method with a few simplifications for beginners. Make sure to check out the description for a link to a printable guide that you will need to reference as you learn this method, particularly the last layer. Lastly, feel free to back up and watch any section of this video over again. The first step of the ZZ method is the distinctive EO_Line. This is the most difficult part of the method, and I encourage you to push through this cool but tricky section. In this step, all the edges on the cube are oriented and a line is simultaneously formed across the bottom. For beginners, this step will be simplified by orienting the edges separately from forming the line. To complete this step, you first need to know some cube theory. An oriented or good edge can be solved without using a front or back turn. By contrast, a bad or unoriented edge requires that you do a front or back turn in order to make it oriented or good. So, by definition, front and back turns change edge orientation. Any edge that was in this layer that was good after a front turn becomes bad. And any edge that was previously bad becomes good after doing that front turn. Furthermore, when you rotate the cube, the front and back layers are no longer front and back, but something else, in this case, right and left. This means that some of the edges that were good in this position are now bad in this position. We will use all of these facts to our advantage as we strive to orient every edge on the cube. Now we need to learn how to recognize which edges are bad. Since edge orientation depends on how the cube is held, we need to choose one position to use for the duration of the solve. This can be any position, but for simplicity's sake, let's choose yellow on top and green on the front. Now we can apply two rules as we check every edge on the cube to see which are bad and which are good. Let's start by checking these four on the top layer. Rule number one, if you see the right or left color, in this case orange and red, facing up, then the edge is automatically considered bad. So this one has an orange facing up, so this one is bad. Rule number two, if the top or down color is on the side, then the edge is also bad. So this edge, because it has yellow, the top color on the side, this edge is bad. All other edges are good. So on this top layer, we have two that are bad and two that are good. We will then apply those same rules as we check the down layer, followed by these two in the front and these two in the back. Once you know how many bad edges you have, you're ready to move on to the next phase of solving the EOLine. Now that we know which edges are bad, we need to learn how to make them good or oriented. Remember, front and back turns change an edge's orientation. Since there are four edges in each layer, we just need to fill those four slots with bad edges so that we can eliminate them four at a time with the front or back turn. This strategy works pretty well when there are only 4, 8, or 12 bad edges because those are multiples of 4. But what about cases that have 2, 6, or 10 bad edges? For cases that only have 2 bad edges, like this one, we've got a bad edge here and a bad edge here. Position 1 in the front or back layer and then do a front turn. That will orient this edge and create 3 new bad edges. These 3 plus the one remaining from before makes a new total of 4 bad edges that can be oriented with another front turn. For cases with 10 bad edges, it's best to first eliminate 2 groups of 4. For example, we have 4 bad edges here in the front that will be eliminated, followed by 4 bad edges in the back that will be eliminated with the back turn. Now we've gotten rid of 8 bad edges, so 10 minus 8 is 2, and I just showed you how to take care of 2 bad edges. Cases with 6 bad edges are a little more versatile. One option is to start by eliminating a group of 4, which then only leaves 2 bad edges that can be solved as I showed you earlier. However, you can also take another strategy. You can start by eliminating 3 bad edges, such as this case we have 1, 2, 3 in the front layer. When we eliminate those 3, we create one new one that with the 3 that were left over from before, create a new group of 4 that can be eliminated altogether. Now that you have eliminated all your bad edges, it's fairly simple to create your line. Notice the line will be composed of this edge right here, in this case the green-white, and this edge back here, white-blue. Those 2 edges are right here. Now note, the green center is opposite the blue, so we will want the white-green edge to be opposite the white-blue edge. Since white-blue is currently in the right layer, let's move this one over to the left layer so it's opposite the blue. So now when we bring those edges down to the bottom, the green is opposite the blue, so we can match it up to form our line. You have successfully made it through the most difficult part of the ZZ method. High five. Oh wait, that doesn't work too well here. Let's keep going. Now we can talk about solving the first 2 layers using block building. Block building involves taking individual pieces and connecting them together to form blocks that when combined with other blocks make bigger blocks. The smallest and simplest of these is an edge matched up with a center called a buckle. The next size up is a corner paired with an edge. A pair combined with a buckle forms a shield, and a shield combined with one last pair forms a wall. Once a wall has been constructed on both sides of the line, the F2L stage is complete. This is most commonly approached by either building one complete wall followed by the other, or building a shield on both sides of the line and then expanding both of those shields into walls. At this point, let's talk about building pairs, as this is the most complex part of the block building process. As I mentioned earlier, a pair is formed with one corner and one edge. The edge matches up with 2 of the colors on the corner. Now there are 2 really easy cases for building pairs. One of them is this one, where it's already built for you. The second one is where the corner is a single turn away from being paired up with the edge. Unfortunately, most of the time you will not end up with one of the 2 easy cases. In these more complex examples, you'll have to first reduce them or make them look like the 2 easy cases. For this example, we have these 2 pieces, the corner and the edge, that are together, but they are joined incorrectly. Since they are together, let's separate them. The way that we'll do this is a practice that will become very common as you work on building pairs, and is the idea of hiding, moving the top layer, and unhiding. Let me show you what I mean. This corner, let's put it right here, so we can hide it by putting it down to the bottom like that. This allows us to turn the top layer freely and reposition this edge to wherever we wish. If we move it here, when we pull the corner back up, we can see that we have this really easy case that took only one move to create the pair. In other cases, the corner and the edge will be separated, which means they need to be brought together. In this case, we can hide the edge by taking it out of the top layer, which again lets us rotate this freely. If we turn this top layer right here, when we bring it back down, we can see that our pair has been formed. Sometimes you'll have the corner stuck here in the first layer. In many cases, you can pull this out the same time you hide the edge. Now you can turn the top layer and create the pair. There are some cases that require multiple sub-steps before you can get back to one of the really easy cases. This is one of the examples. In this case, we can't take it directly to one of the easy cases. So let's instead work elsewhere. Let's hide this corner. Now we have the corner stuck in the first layer, and the edge is here up top, and we recognize this from one of the examples I showed you earlier. We can hide the edge, move the corner over, and bring it back down to see our pair that we have created. And these examples that I've shown you are just the beginning of all the cases you can come across as you work on learning to build pairs. In order to learn more, I first recommend that you play around with the cube and see what you can figure out. That is, after all, in my opinion, the most exciting part about learning to solve the Rubik's Cube. If you do wish for more help, I will put some links to other guides in the description. From here on, it's fairly simple to create your two walls and finish your F2L. Just make sure to start with a buckle and add a pair to make a shield, and then add one last pair to make your two walls and finish up F2L. Now we are on the last layer, and from here on it's just memorizing new algorithms, all of which are on the printable guide down in the description. The first part of solving the last layer is orienting the last layer, in which all the colors are turned so we get one solid face up top. Since the edges are already oriented, we just need to orient the corners, which leaves us the 7 cases you see popping up across the top right now. Your job is to figure out which of the 7 cases you have. Anytime you see a line on the side, it indicates a yellow sticker that is not oriented. In this case, we have 2 that are on the left side, 1 on the bottom right facing towards me, and 1 on the top right facing away from me, which matches this case right here. We can then do the algorithm for that case to orient the last layer. For the rest of the cases, go ahead and look at the printable guide. To finish up the solve, we need to permute the last layer, or move all the pieces around to their solved positions. For beginners, this will be broken up into 2 sub-steps called to-look PLL. First, we will solve all of the edges so we get all 4 of them solved like this. To do this, we will use one of the 4 cases that you see coming up across the top. Each arrow represents an edge that needs to be moved to a new location to be solved. This time, we have this case, because this yellow-green edge needs to go right here, yellow-green. This yellow-orange needs to go right here, yellow-orange. And this red-yellow needs to go right here. So we have a pattern where this one needs to go here, this one needs to go here, and this one needs to go here. So we have a counterclockwise triangle being formed across the top. We'll do the algorithm to solve all of the edges. Now we can move on to solving the corners. After permuting the corners on the cube, it will be solved. So there are 3 cases for moving corners around. In this case, we have this one, where this corner needs to come up here, this one needs to come over here, and this one needs to come down here, forming a clockwise triangle. We do the algorithm for that to solve the cube. And again, for the rest of these cases, look at the printable guide in the description. And there you go, your cube has been solved using the ZZ method. As you can see, there is a lot to learn and practice, but as you work on it, you will get faster. Go ahead and look right here to see some example solves using this beginner's variation of ZZ. Lastly, subscribe to my channel so you can be notified as I release new videos. Thanks again for watching. This has been Problem Solved. Over and out.